What's up, everybody? Summer has finally arrived in Minnesota. It only took almost to June for it to finally happen. But, and when it came with 90-degree temps, which I'm from Mississippi, so 90-degree temps aren't too bad for me. But one thing that comes with that is the ability for us around here, we typically go after May 11th or Mother's Day. Typically, that's when most of the people up here start working in their garden. But then we had that frost afterwards. And he is still in here, dude. Just there's a hole right there. You just gotta go that way. Yeah, dragonflies. Okay, but the some of so like I said, so for people up here in these zones, in the northern states, we're just getting started in planting. And so I kind of wanted to go over because heck, I just got my stuff in I think last weekend, and I have a short season, so I got to most of the stuff that I planted were actually already started. I did start a few seeds inside, but mostly just herbs. I mean, but if you're like me, or even if you're in one of those places where you could have started back in February, but you're just starting now because you're just now thinking about it. There's quite a few things that you can grow, starting right now. So let's go over a few of those things. So obviously, one of the main things that you could obviously grow is going to be tomatoes. I mean, everybody grows them. There's a lot of information online about how to grow them. It's pretty basic. You could even go and get potting soil mix that is designed for tomatoes. So, and I mean, planters, I mean, they do fantastic. So, like, see right here, so this is a tomato plant that is actually in a 5-gallon bucket. It has holes drilled in the bottom of it. It is using container soil, but as you can see, it looks wonderful. But, I mean, that was an obvious one, okay? So, but what's one that's not as obvious? I mean, peppers. A lot of people don't even think about growing peppers, but think about all the stuff that you actually cook with peppers. I mean, if you're like me, they're pretty much in everything I eat. So first you think of what kind of peppers do you like to eat, and then you go and you get a pre-made or a plant that's already kind of established, and you get one of that pepper plant. That's the thing is, like, you got to think about what are you going to eat, because when I first did my garden, it was just like I just started throwing stuff in the ground and just seeing what will happen, and just started growing stuff. And then it was like towards the end when harvest came, I learned the stuff that I actually was going to eat versus the stuff that I just grew because I was like, oh, that looks cool, or oh, I really want to grow that. So you got to consider that. And so for me, it was tomatoes number one. I make tomato sauce. I don't eat the tomatoes themselves. Peppers, lots of peppers. Eat peppers all the time. So then there was the obvious number three, which was herbs. I mean, herbs go in everything I grow. And so with those three things alone, hell, you've got a full-on garden going on. Especially, don't try to get a bunch. Do a few. Focus on those few. Make those few look good, because those few looking good are going to produce more than like a bunch that aren't taken care of, if that makes any sense. And so you can focus your energy more on fewer numbers but have better quality. So obviously herbs, I kind of lump those in together. If you want to, I have a whole hydroponics. I'm sure you've seen those little short hydroponics things that you can put on your counter that have a little light on there. They're great and all, but you have like this much water. With like 12 plants, that lasts not very long at all. But with this one, it basically runs the water down. As you can see, it works. And here is that hydroponics herb tower. Got rosemary, sage, basil, parsley, oregano, and over here we have thyme. Now we have two variations of thyme. We have a regular thyme back in the back, and then this is like a golden thyme. And so, but yeah. all this stuff. I mean, basically, I have an entire Italian seasoning right here minus garlic. So, all right, this is day one of hoping Shady Rays will sponsor me. So these are the Color Rush. Okay, so you can see that. Purchase that. Regular sunglasses here. Grab you some Color Rush. Fantastic. So if that's what you're interested in, click this link up here and you can go ahead and build your own. And it's fantastic. You can literally put it right outside your door. Just let that natural light come in and enjoy it. It just needs 120 and a timer, you know, just to run the pump. So fruits. I mean, and there's the thing about fruits is there's so many various things you can grow as a fruit. I mean, you can grow blueberries, just a blueberry bush. I recommend the blueberry bush be in the ground, especially if you're someone that lives up north. If you'd like to come back the next day, plant it in the ground as soon as you get it. Allow it to establish itself into the ground, so that way that winter it will go into hibernation, and then it'll come back that following year. Make sure you protect it though, because apparently squirrels absolutely love it. And so this is my blueberry bush, or it coming back. It used to be like this tall, and only thing I can think is the squirrels got to it, because there is no other way there's no way for rabbits or anything else, and I doubt the birds did that. But also in fruits, you can do something simple as raspberries or blackberries or something of that nature. Black raspberries. I didn't know they had black raspberries, but apparently they do. I thought they were blackberries. And then obviously there are strawberries. So when it comes to strawberries, you can easily, grow them in the ground like this, or you can put them in a pot. They are not going to spread, and they will not come back the next year if you put them in a pot. If you want them in a pot, they need to go into the ground. They need to establish themselves. They won't really do a whole lot that year because they're busy, establishing themselves into the ground. And then, the next year, just also make sure that winter cover them with like straw or, mulch. Usually straw. Straw's light. Mulch is heavy. Go with straw. But it's fruits. I mean, well, you're telling you, but okay, so you want to grow apples for a fruit. That's great. Or maybe you're in an area where you can do oranges, or you can do peaches, or you can do plums. And that's fantastic. But there's something you need to keep in mind though. They are not going to be producing fruit for the first 3 to 5 years, depending on species, fruit, environment. There's all kind of like factors that fall into this. So don't expect anything right away. If you're expecting something more soon, go for something that's, like I said, like the blueberries or blackberries or strawberries or raspberries or something of that nature. That's where you're actually going to see return more soon. Nothing wrong with growing apple trees. If you plan to be somewhere for a very long time, that is a great thing. As soon as we move, the first thing I do when we get there, I'm planting some apple trees or something, a bunch of everything. But then you also have to consider you need to have mates, and there's certain trees that mate with the other trees to produce the apples that you want. And so that's something there's smarter people know this information. I don't have that information. There's too many variations of apple trees versus what pollinates what. Usually it's good to know that if you have like a Honeycrisp, another Honeycrisp is going to do that. Hey, the strawberries hydroponics stuff. So what you see right there, that is strawberry hydroponics. So that just started. But since I just started, I'm not going to really go into too much of that because I'm still waiting on that to do more than what it's actually done. But so what else would I grow? Do you eat cucumbers? And then when you say yes, I do eat cucumbers, but do you eat them as pickles, or do you eat them cut up and put them into salads? How do you go about them? Because that matters whenever it comes to growing your cucumbers. Do you want to have pickling cucumbers? Do you want to have slicing cucumbers? And so there's so many variations of cucumbers, but luckily, because you're going to be buying them, even in the seed ones, they pretty much tell you, are they for slicing or are they for pickling? And so they take all that guesswork out. But if there's a specific one that you were actually looking for, then I would go ahead and do research and figure out which particular one you're doing. Now, for us, I mean, I know for the slicing ones, it just says slicing, you know? It doesn't say anything other than just slicing, so it doesn't actually have a specific, um, so, and that's fine. But one thing I also know is they like frequent watering, consistent watering, not over watering. So set a time, usually morning, evening. Some people swear by the morning because it gives the plant something to sit there and drink up during the day. Me personally, I like to do it at night, mainly because I'm too busy in the morning and whatnot, and then it's more of it has the water to do stuff at night, and then it's still moist during the day, but it's not so moist that it ends up boiling and cooking in those really really hot days. So that's typically the thing about those. And then you kind of want to have somewhere for them to grow straight up. So you want them to go up. You know, don't try and let them grow across the ground. They're just going to end up getting rotten on the bottom, stuff like that. So a trellis, that could be made out of pretty much anything. A string going up from a stake in the ground could do it just fine. But I got lost trying to build nests in here. You know, I'm gonna have to tell them no. But anyways, they were just trying to build homes. But I'm trying not to kill them, but I'm gonna tell them they can't be here. When it comes to that, I mean, that's pretty much the basics when it comes to growing in a garden. I mean, there's other things, but let's be honest. Pumpkins, they take up a lot of space. I mean, a lot of space, up to like 6 feet. Watermelons are the same way. They take up a huge amount of space. So if you have that space available, then they're great too. But they also like a lot of water, because you think about what makes up like a watermelon is mostly water. So it needs water to make those pumpkins. Yeah, and then there's onions. Obviously you can grow onions and garlic, but onions and garlic, typically you start those at the beginning of winter, towards fall really, into fall, and let them do their things underground, and then in the spring they all of a sudden just pop up and start doing their stuff. There's asparagus, but asparagus spreads like crazy, and once you have it, you can never really get rid of it. It's really hard to get rid of. So that's another thing to consider when it comes to like growing things is it going to continue to spread? And asparagus is one of those ones that will spread like crazy. So, one last thing that honestly should have been number one, because it's the one crop that I harvest year round, and it's always available. And that is green beans. Okay, so this is my green bean trellis. So what later on in the year, once these beautiful green beans right here have done their thing, they are going to stretch up this thing and they're going to cover it. There's some on the other side right there. And then there are bush beans on the other sides of them to grow up and kind of like support and provide shade to the roots or the bases right here while they grow up and do their thing. And so the great thing about it is they all just kind of like hang down. And you can just kind of come in and just, like, it's dinner time. So you just come out here and grab you dinner's worth, and then you just go inside and do it. And it's always perfect because it's always just the right amount for dinner. And so as you can see, they're doing fantastic. They're just as happy as could be. I planted these actually when I thought it was going to be good, but then the frost came in. And this was one of the ones that didn't quite make it at first. And the one down there at the end was one. But they were doing fine. A couple of them didn't make it. As you can see, this guy right here, he's not very happy right there. But I can throw in another seed right there because, I mean, if I have variations in grow pattern, then that's okay because they're going to just produce year round. And I can't wait for the bush beans because we have a special type of bush bean that we've never grown before. And that'll be something I'd like to show you. So, and then if you're feeling gutsy and you want to try potatoes, right here, this is potatoes. As they sprout up, we'll add more dirt in there, but yes. And then here are the
the cucumbers. So these will be the pickling cucumbers. These, we bought this as an established plant. That's why it's so much bigger than these. But that is going to be the slicing version. They're going to grow up this right here. Soon.
So, yeah, I mean, just like that, yeah, that's the garden. And that garden right there is going to produce like crazy. That is going to provide for us for the entire year, to be honest, of various meals and whatnot. Not like full sustenance, obviously, because there's no meat and whatnot. But as far as jams, pastas, freaking pickles, peppers in general, potatoes we eat a lot of. It's just, that's it. So I hope this actually helped you, with the ideas of what to do to get out there. Just kind of giving you an idea of a layout of the garden if you have a similar area. Yeah, but can't wait to see you on the next one.